Hello, I'm Martin Fencka and welcome to the first episode of another of my Civilization 5 Vox Populi series. So as usual, because this is the first episode of a new series, it's gonna be more like an introduction. We will go through the mods that we're gonna be using in this series. I will check the game setup and then I'll show you 3 different starting locations and you will have 24 hours to decide which of them we're gonna be using for this series. So let's start it with the mods. I installed the latest version of Vox Populi complete package. It's version 1.4.2 and then the latest version of the third and fourth unique component. I'm not sure the number there, 75, I think that's the number of the version, but I will leave links for both in the description, so if you want to play with me, you can download the mods through the link, so you have the same version. And with the release of the second episode, I'll make the initial save files available. So that's the mod. Now we can check the setup. This time I really couldn't decide what to play. For a long time I was actually convinced that I'll end up playing Ottomans because there were some mentions that they could be interesting, but then I actually went through the comment sections of some of the previous series, and France has been popping up for such a long time. Basically, I don't even know since when. Every time I asked about like a save for a next series, there was always someone mentioning France. So I decided to play France. Also, I promised myself, or I kept promising myself for quite some time that I will finally play France. So I decided to do it now. Do we need to... Actually, we will go through the unique abilities when the game starts loading. So when we check advanced setup, we are playing as France, as I said. I decided to play on a large Europe map, and there we will be basically fighting the historical rivals of France, let's say. Plus I added some random saves on top of that to make it a little bit more interesting and random, unpredictable, let's say. So as I said, it's Europe large, the difficulty epic game pace and starting engine era. Nothing surprising there. This map type doesn't have more settings, so just the most basic things. For a large map, I reduced the number of city-states a little bit to 16, and I also deleted one save, I'm pretty sure, so I'll be playing against 8 opponents. I'm actually not sure how big this map is. I might have played on this map as Rome, and it was pretty large, but no, actually, as Rome, we played on Mediterranean. So I wanted to make sure that this map is a little bit larger, let's say, than normal, and we give the AIs some more room and time to develop, that they are not cramped on one relatively small continent. I mean, Europe... I kind of expect there to be a lot of water, right, in the north, then northwest, then in south you have the Mediterranean. I'm not sure how far this map goes south into like Africa. It's also possible that this covers like large part of the Eastern Europe, and there will be much more land than I expect, but we'll see, we'll find out. As I said, I wanted to give the AI some more room, so hopefully it's going to work the way I plan. Now, what are we playing against? So we are playing against Rome. Why Rome? This is like from the ancient Rome era, when the Romans were invading the area of France, like the barbaric tribes there. So that's why I decided to take Rome. Then Germany, don't really need to explain why Germany. Russia, that's from the Napoleonic era. Napoleon really didn't do that well against Russia, so we will see if we can do better. England, the how to say this, the probably for the longest time the rival of France, like throughout the medieval ages. Sweden and Denmark, this is from the era of the Vikings, because both of them were like raiding the northern coast of France, so I added them as well. And then I was thinking about Morocco from the colonial era, but it wasn't really. It was just like a colony. It wasn't really too many wars there. Although there was some fighting, I wasn't sure about that. But in the end, decided not to go for it, and I couldn't think about more like historical rivals for France. There was maybe I could have gone with Spain as well, but in the end, I decided to go for these. Okay, and we have two random saves to make it a bit more unpredictable, as I said. For the game settings here, nothing unusual. I disabled start APS, no ruins, no events. I was actually thinking about testing events for once, but I don't think I'm gonna do it here. I think I'm gonna do it next time. Next series, we're gonna go with events and see how the system developed since we played with it last time. Then no tech trading, brokering, quick combat, raging barbarians, transparent diplomacy, like the typical settings that I'm using almost every time. Okay. Now go back and load the game. So these are the three save files that, or starting locations that I decided to go with. But before we get to that, let's go through the French unique abilities, buildings, etc. So our unique ability Esprit de Corps gives us 10% combat strength for each subsequent attack against a single target during a turn. So the more units are attacking the same target, the more damage they deal. This is interesting, especially later in the game, as the like anti-warmonger bonuses that the AI gets stacks up. We will be able to cope with it a little bit better. But how effective really it's gonna be, it's hard to say. I've never played with it, so we'll see realistically how much can you stack it up. Actually, judging by the last game, it would help against saves like Shaka that can, or whose units can get incredibly tanky, where you can stack it up to, let's say, 50%, where you do need sometimes like 5 attacks to kill one unit. So maybe it will save us 1 attack per unit in these really tough fights. Now we'll see how it really works once we really use it in the game. Then, when you conquer a city, gain great writer, artist, and musician points in the capital, and the temporary boost culture and production in all cities. This, if we can use it properly and start the snowball early, and for this we have to fight, we have to take cities. If we don't take cities in this game, we don't get shit. Like, France has to take cities to really start snowballing, but if we can do it, we can start like a culture snowball really fast. The writers, artists, and musicians, when they come in more often and much earlier than they usually do, they can make a significant difference. Plus, on top of that, it gives us culture and production in all cities. So we will be aggressive. This is going to be another domination game. I know that there are probably going to be some complaints about me just playing another domination game over and over again and I'm not doing anything else. Well, honestly, at this point, I don't really care even. The way at least how I feel, this is how the way Vox Populi is going, it's becoming more and more difficult. And the better the AIs are doing, the better they are at like managing their cities and their economy and everything with the bonuses they have on Deity. You can't just outplay them by being more effective during peace. They get too much, they are too good. You have to shut them down by just attacking them. Currently, that's the only weakness the AI still has, like significant weakness, that it just can't keep up with the player when fighting. Player, for now, at least how I see it, can still outplay the AI during war. I'm really not sure anymore how you can do it, or if you can do it, if you just don't fight and give the AIs enough room to develop. They're just too fast. They settle way too quickly compared to the player, and their bonuses are at this point just too good. They're way too effective at using the bonuses. We have seen what happened last time with Monte. When he had time, he just completely took over, and then it took us a while to do something about him, and we would never be able to catch up with him if we didn't like devour basically everything else on the map. In the end, we were able to get significantly ahead of him, but it was only because of the absolutely insane amounts of science and culture that we managed to get through fighting. We would never get that if we were not fighting. And even if we were able to like somehow overcome Monte, there was Korea, who just completely ran away with the game, and the only option for us was to shut Korea down by attacking from like 10 or 12 takes behind. So yeah, it will be fighting another domination game, though I may switch like in the mid-game, late mid-game, to maybe culture, if we manage to build up enough of a cultural lead through our unique ability, and see if from the mid-game we, or probably would like early end game, something like that. Mid-game is probably too early, but if we could just go for a different victory condition after fighting through most of the game before. But enough about the unique ability and plans how I want to play this game. Then we have two unique units. One is Musketeer that replaces Tercio. I think this description is actually dated because this is a melee unit. You can see it, combat 30, and it's not a range. There is a shield, which means melee. One of the first gunpowder unit. Well, if it's melee, it's not gunpowder. Gunpowder units are the musketeer, not musketeer, musketmen variants, so ranged units. But well, it says first gunpowder unit of the game. Only French may build it. This unit has a higher combat strength than Tercio, which it replaces, and starts with the lightning warfare promotion. We fought against France last time, and then the musketeers were annoying. So I'm kind of looking forward to playing with them. They allow you partially to break the typical fighting in a way that zone of control is not such an issue anymore. So you can be a bit more flexible with your front line. And so I think we will go melee heavy and try to build a lot of musketeers, get them promotions, and use them as like the main force, though I'm not sure if that's a good idea, because without range units, good range support, I'm still not sure that's enough. Also depends on how the game is going to look like once we get to Musketeer. If we are too far behind, we will have to rely on range units, because melee units fighting from behind, like technologically behind, just don't do anything. So that's the Musketeer. Then we have Spad 7, which is a potent modern era flying unit. And we have seen how effective these like World War One planes can be against stealth bombers. So if we have to defend, I guess that'll be really good. Has a longer interception range, that's great. Starboard air logistics, sure, like for sweeps, why not? Does not require oil and doesn't use military supply. Also, the description is dated, unless they change something, which I missed, because I missed a couple of patches. I only read the patch notes for the last one, so maybe they changed it somewhere that planes now do need a supply cap, but for a while, from the previous series, we know that planes didn't need it. So yeah, unless they changed it, the last bit wouldn't matter. But the fact that they don't require oil, that's nice. That is really nice. last time we didn't have a problem with strategic resources, but every time I play, I kind of expect not to have strategic resources and already plan for it. So this will allow us to have at least something, even if we don't get oil. Then we have the salon, which is museum replacement. Available much earlier. We'll have to check in architecture. How much earlier is that? That is much earlier. Museums come into play with archaeology, so that's like 4 attacks earlier, which is pretty significant. And this is probably where I would start switching from like the aggressive gameplay into culture. Culture and tourism for every 4 citizens in the city. Great works in the city provide tourism, which is very relevant if we get enough great works through fighting, through our unique ability. 33% great artist rate in the city, and all artists guild produce 1 gold. We'll probably still have to fight a bit. I kind of want to get enough artists to have like endless golden age from a certain point. This would definitely help. We would have cheaper artists, and then we would keep taking cities to get them faster. But it might not be even necessary. -1 unhappiness from boredom, that's typical for museums. Can be themed in different arrangements. 5 culture and great people points if themed, which is pretty nice. The type of points given depend on how it's themed. +3 science and 10% great people generation for each active theming bonus in the city. Sure, we will have to work with the great works a little bit more than usual. Usually I just hit optimize and I'm done with it. Here we maybe will have to be a bit more creative, but sure, why not? A little bit different type of micromanagement, I'll take it. And the last one, we have Chateau, which will also help with our plan once they kick in everywhere and start giving us the culture. It adds up really quickly, and they can give a ton of culture. Gold on top of that is always useful. A shadow can only be built adjacent to a luxury resource. It may not be adjacent to another shadow. It provides same 50% defense bonus as fort. Can only be built in French territory. So unique tile improvement that works as a fort and culture tile improvement at the same time. We just have to make sure we position everything properly so that we get the maximum number of them. We want to build them everywhere possible. They are just too good to be replaced with anything else. Okay, so that's France, and now we can jump into the game and check the starting position. So here, this is overall a decent start. We are starting with Wales. That would give us 10% science with Monopoly. I like that. Usually I don't like starting on what I expect to be like land-heavy map, or at least a map where most of the action will be on the land. Therefore, we will have an army that's like land heavy. I don't like starting with sea resources, but whales are really good. Even when they're not improved, they have pretty decent yields. We are starting next to tiny river on the hill, so why not? Then we have T for a not monopoly, for a second luxury, but I'm pretty sure this is just one and we won't get the option for a long time for the monopoly on T. It would be nice for the culture, it would be better for us than the whales even, but I'm pretty sure our monopoly resource is gonna be whales if we can, of course, find enough of them. So as I said, I would settle on the spot. We can check the area around. I'm kind of interested. I didn't do it before I decided on the starting position, so this will be new for me. We can check to the north. Also, because we are playing in Europe, we could try to guess where we are playing or where we are starting. This could, in theory, be British Isles. but it's hard to say. Like, we don't know enough, and I'm really interested in like the scale of the map. I have no idea. I actually did this intentionally, that I didn't do a test run because I just don't want to know. I want to like explore the Europe, explore the size of the map. Then if you go this way, yeah, this doesn't look like Britain anymore. What the hell is this? I have no idea where this might be. As I'm going through the map of Europe in my head. This is weird. I will have to read the map description. Again, actually, I didn't really read it. I saw Europe, so I expected it to be like a realistic map of Europe. I hope it's not like a Europe type of the map somehow. Okay, I have no idea where this might be. But well, the start isn't bad. Did we get anything new? Not really. We are starting. There's tundra. Could this be like Scandinavia somewhere? Don't really know, or we don't really see anything else interesting that will allow us to plan more. How much production do we have? Not really that much. We will be able to get 1, 2, 3 chateaus. Yeah, that's one problem actually with this start. We only have one land luxury in the capital. So that's gonna be only 3 chateaus for the capital. So maybe for France this actually is not that great. I just saw it, I liked the resources, I kind of like the position, but now when I'm thinking about it, this might be actually quite a difficult start for France. But it's not missing anything, it has a decent tiles for the early game, it will have some production. It's just the scaling for the end game won't be that great from what we have available here. We do have some tiles for great people, so that could help. Nah, it will be fine. It's nothing special, but it's okay. Then the second one. Actually, as I was rolling through the starting locations, I was getting really boring ones over and over again. So this time there is nothing like exceptional, though this one looks good. Here we are starting again in the north, this time even closer it seems to the northern side of the map. But there is a lot for the early game. We have a pretty large inland lake that we won't be starting right next to, but we will get to soon. So that's a lot of food and production. Amazing early game tiles, of course. Our luxury for Monopoly are on land, so we will be able to get more chateaus here, although they are next to each other, so that takes away basically 2 tiles for us to work with, but still more chateaus than in the first on the first location. We also have one sea resource, but actually we will probably use this one. The 2 gold is kind of nice, but mostly of course it's gonna be about the lakes. We will build some actually we will need only 1 citadel here, or fort, so that we can move through with our ships. The question is how many ships we'll really use though, but there is the option. And if we check the area around, there is even more first, but it's too far away, and I really don't want to move from the hill. I could move here and have the capital in range of the first, but I'm just not giving up the hill start. On the other side, that's another lake. Where do we go? This way? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There are actually quite a few hills to work with for later production. There's another hill here. There could be some iron around here. This looks like a place where iron would be. So okay, it's nice thanks to the lakes, but throughout the game it will get weaker and weaker. I just like the start with lakes. It's a little bit different. So this is the second start, and now the third one. This is probably the first time when I'm really undecided on where I would like to play. Usually when I have 3 starting positions, I know what my favorite is and where I would like to play. I never say it, but I always do have a favorite where I want to play. Here, I have no idea. So this is the third start. This time, again, it's coastal, but this time it seems that there is significantly less water around where our capital would be. Our monopoly would be tea. I wanted to have one start where we would get a culture monopoly early, because that's what I want to try to focus on. So that would be really nice to have another extra source of culture. If we check the area around, not much to see here, and this looks like coast. The warrior won't really be able to go anywhere, unfortunately, so we could go here. This looks pretty good for like horses and all the kind of stuff that becomes really, really good in like medieval era with stables. I used to really dislike starting locations with a lot of grassland or plains around, but I'm actually starting to like more and more if you get the necessary resources around, of course, the horses and cattle and all the kind of stuff that gets improved by pastures, because with stables, those tiles do get pretty ridiculous for medieval era. Where do we go? Let's go here. Okay, nothing else. I'm pretty sure. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I want to start on the hill. We are starting farther away, unfortunately, from our luxuries, and it will take us quite a while to get there because we have this like line here of forest and hill behind the river, and here it's a forest on a hill. These tiles, how should I say it? The game tends to prioritize other tiles when the border grows naturally. So it will take a while to get these tiles. We'll probably have to buy them to really get there in a reasonable amount of time. So that will make it a bit more difficult. We all have to spend money on buying tiles early. But once we get there, once we improve the tea, and as we start like researching more tags, if we get the right resources, this could be nice. This could be a really nice start. Hill, river, but it has definitely the weakest, like very early game. The first, I don't know, 150 turns in this case will be quite bad, unless we get lucky and get like horses, cattle immediately, something like that. But that's not gonna happen. So this would take a while to start rolling, but I think long term this may have the highest potential of the 3 starting locations. The second one probably had the best early game with all of those lakes, and the first one just in the middle. Nice start with the yields from whales, but then it's really hard to say what would it be from there. how much room there would be for early expansion. So that one is kind of unpredictable. Okay, so that's all I think for the first episode. I hope that you liked it, and I hope that you're gonna join me for this series. As I said, now you will have 24 hours to vote for which start you want to see me play on, and once the voting is over, I will come with the second episode tomorrow, and I will make the save files available for you guys. Well, as I said, that's it for this episode, so I hope that you liked it, hope that you're gonna join me next time again, and until then, have a good time. Bye bye.